I'm John DeSando.
Cinema, 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 cinema. Classics, let's go to the movies and share some popcorn, soda pop with our friends. Turn off our cell phones and get away. Night or day, it's John DeSando on the radio. Watch the credits from up high.
Cinema Classics is produced by John DeSando. It airs Thursdays at 8:01 p.m. on WCBE 90.5 FM. Listen to shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando,
And I'm K G Kline.
and this is Cinema Classics. Now, Ken is a new member of the Central Ohio Film Critics Association, as you are, and certainly one of the brightest film critics in the country. Isn't it strange that I have to rely on you for an animation?
Well, I'm delighted that you do. I am very, very happy to talk about animation anytime. It's in my heart and my soul.
I know it is. All right, so we have Despicable Me 4.
Despicable Me 4.
How is there 6 iterations? It was
Well,
part
because
of
there's
another?
two Minions.
Ah.
So you've got the
Was
four.
Minions first before
No,
before Gru?
Despicable Me one was the first one.
Right.
And then somewhere during the course of the first three, they squeezed in 2 Minions movies.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, the main reason you're going to these movies is not for the plot. It's to see these lovable minions doing their silly things and hitting each other with sticks and making funny sounds.
And I know what first attracted me to Despicable Me was Gru. But Gru was to me a perfect archetype of the grumpy old man who then in the course of the 6 becomes a nice guy.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, Ken, I'm not real happy about that.
Oh, you didn't like the change?
Well, although he's goofy, taking care of his son.
His son, yeah. Well, he has now 4 kids, I believe. 3
Couple
daughters.
adopted, yeah.
Yeah, 3 daughters and a son,
Yeah.
and of course a wife, and he's evolved into a much more 3-dimensional character than they ever imagined when they first made the Despicable Me.
And that's a good way of putting it, because I just really like the curmudgeon.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, he was originally based on Peter Lorre. That was the archetype they were going for. Was the not quite top tier villain who makes a few mistakes and bumbles his way through, and that made him an interesting character. He wasn't quite so predictable as if he had been the perfect villain. And I've always kind of liked him as a character.
Oh, I did. He drew me to it. And then, as you mentioned, the Minions.
The Minions
Who
are
is not to love the Minions?
The Minions have made this studio billions with a B, billions of dollars.
It's Illumination.
Illumination Studio, which started out as a little tiny studio, then just hit it big with this. The cost of this original Despicable Me movie was only about, if I'm not mistaken, $55 million. At a time when Disney animated films cost over $200 million. They basically whittled it down to just the bare cost of the animation and used only figures that were very easy for a computer to construct, hence the Minions. There's only 3 different Minion styles duplicated by the computer thousands of times.
And if our audience has some time for our Double Take podcast, I'd love to talk a little bit about Pixar versus Illumination.
Yeah, I'll give a little history on Illumination and why they were able to make a movie so cheap compared to Disney, and how interesting it is that this ultra cheap movie has taken off and made far more money than most of Disney's $200 million movies.
Well, all right, back to Despicable Me 4. So Gru was really the reason I loved it, and I'm sure I saw all 4. Though I'd have to tell you, Ken, I can't even reiterate the storylines of this.
Well, the Despicable Me movies have less plot than a Roadrunner and Coyote Warner Brothers cartoon. You don't go there for the plot. You're going there to watch the characters and watch the Minions, and just sit back and have a good time. Don't think too hard about it. This is not a movie you're going to get into discussion groups afterwards.
Well, I have to say that I really, not only do I admire the longevity of this 6, It's only 2010, I think they started somewhere
I believe
around
2010 was
Yeah,
when they started,
2010, so-
They've been squeezing these out very,
Yeah,
very fast.
yeah, so that's only 12.
And every
14.
one of them has made a bundle.
Yeah.
You know, we're seeing these films coming in at $700, $800, $900 million per film. Illumination has just hit the jackpot
Yeah.
with this series. And I've thought about it. What is it about a $60 or $70 million bare bones animated movie that draws in more people than Disney films like Wish and Encanto? And the reason is these are the 21st century equivalent of the old Warner Brothers cartoons. This is Bugs and Daffy. This is silly characters, silly or little or no plot, hitting each other, getting whacked with.
Oh yeah, I made a lot of slapstick.
A lot of slapstick. That's what the Minions are all about. This is a studio that realized, hey, what made the Warner Brothers cartoons popular in the 30s, 40s, and 50s is still popular with kids today. You don't have to make a film too sophisticated to have a 9-year-old have a good time.
And I think even in this new one, they have done a couple of things that I really admire. First of all, how do you think about getting a baby who doesn't like dad from the get-go? You know, who's grumpy about dad from the get-go? How would perfect karma for him? That is a brilliant character.
It's a very cute scene.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they had that in the trailers where he looks at the baby looks at mama and just adores mama and then looks at dad.
Yeah,
And
right.
it's a very stern look and then back to mama, then back to dad.
So that is, and if I can remember correctly, 5 of the minions become like superheroes. They're
5 of the minions are
parodying
put
the
into a
Marvel.
machine and turned into super minions. And but just like all minions, they bumble their tasks and don't do things right and cause more harm than good. And one of the minions gets trapped in a vending machine through the entire movie.
Oh, that's right.
And that's one of the
That's right.
funnest things in the film is cutting back to him periodically, and he's stuck in this vending machine. And this is what makes the film so much fun. Don't think about these movies. You just go in and have a great time. They're absolutely fine for anyone from about 5 years old up until about 16 is going to just think they're wonderful. Parents can drop their kids off at the theater with this movie and not have to worry about a thing.
Okay, yeah.
It's very, very good at what it does.
And because they're so charming, particularly the minions.
Yes.
I mean, Gru's become charming
Gru's become more interesting.
because he even does a little bit of a kind of shtick about bumbling as a father.
Yes.
And everybody's amused by it. It's kind of.
And the mother is a nicely fleshed out character too. There's a new character, a daughter that lives
I know
next
who
door
you're
who's
talking
just
about.
a little terror.
Poppy.
Oh yes.
She is a doll.
Well, she reminds me of the girl in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory that wanted everything now.
Right, yeah. And she's got her little braces at the top of her teeth.
Yes.
I mean, but she wants to be a criminal, right?
She wants desperately to be an arch
Co-hunting
criminal.
Gru.
And she's figured out who Gru is, and she wants Gru to show her how to be a master criminal. Which may not be the best way to learn that.
Although Gru now is associated with the Anti-Villain League.
The Anti-Villain League.
Which is great. He goes from being a crook to being part of the
What little plot there is to this movie is Gru had managed to have an arch-villain arrested.
Yes.
And that arch-villain has now escaped. So the Anti-Villain League has to take Gru and his family and move them to a safe house
Yes.
hundreds of miles away and give them new titles, new names, new jobs. And that's pretty much all the plot there is to this movie.
What is his name? Maxime Lamal?
Well, is that the neighbor? Oh no, that's the
That's
the arch villain.
right, Maxime.
Yeah. And who voices that
Oh
character?
boy, who better with so much bluff? It's unbelievable. Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell's voicing that character.
Bumptious and
Just-
just blowhard.
Absolutely. Now they're getting really top-notch talent for the voices in these, because these movies are making enough money they can
Yeah.
afford to get whoever they want.
Sofia Vergara as Valentina, his girlfriend.
His girlfriend.
And so it's got. I can recall now its charms, even though the plot doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense to me. The charm of it, and that's the key. Even as you were talking about it, Ken, I'm thinking the minions get away with all of this because the expressions they give them are so darn cute. They're like having a small child, a Dennis the Menace, just the cutest thing could be.
The Minions are like Wile E. Coyote or Daffy Duck.
Yeah,
You know,
Daffy Duck.
they're distanced enough from people that you can get away with them smacking each other and doing terrible things to one another and just being absolutely clueless about where they are and what they're doing. And still have it be funny. And this is what they cashed in as. They realized, hey, there's still room in the world for Wile E. Coyote and for Daffy Duck and Elmer Fudd, and we can do these with these very simple characters. And I know a lot of people that see this movie just to see the Minions. They could care less what's going on with Gru and his family. They're just waiting for the next Minion moment.
Or in K G Kline. People have to go to podcast experience, WCBE.org, at our double take to hear more, because I am going to pose some questions to you about Pixar versus Illumination.
Okay.
But what do you advise now? Here we're summer.
Oh, this is a great summer film for the kids. Don't be scared by the PG rate. This should have been a G-rated movie.
Hey.
There's nothing in this movie that's objectionable. It's entertaining. It gets the job done.
I know.
And it's making a ton of money. So join the masses. Go see the Minions. Have fun.
Right. And I would like to tell you this, just like an Elizabethan audience, they're not going to catch everything. You know, I think Elizabeth had just as much problem with Shakespeare as we do.
Probably more.
Probably more. And so the same thing, you're going to have to listen, maybe go back to catch everything that they're tossing off.
Yeah, you can see this movie 2 or 3 times, and you're not gonna be disappointed.
I'm John DeSando.
Cinema, 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 cinema. Classics, let's go to the movies and share some popcorn, soda pop with